It's Wulf, and it's another First 15. This one is about World Boss. World Boss is a free-to-play first-person shooter over on Steam, and it's actually a YouTuber game. The YouTubers Fresh and Lazarbeam are somehow involved with this game. I'm not entirely sure how, but I remember that was originally how I found out about it, was something to do with, I think, Lazarbeam in particular being involved with the development or promotion or something of this game. I don't really personally watch much of Fresh or Lazarbeam's videos, so I don't really know how involved they were. In the game itself, the only thing that I saw that was clearly related to them was they both had one skin pack. It was a fresh pickle skin pack, and Lazarbeam had a Lazarbeam gingerbread man skin pack. I don't know if there's any other ones that were seasonal and rotated out or anything. Those are the only two that are available as of recording this, and there were a few references in gameplay to them. There's like a laser gun weapon that is named the Lazarbeam, and it's spelled like Lazarbeam's name. So those two are present, but I'm not totally sure how much they were actually involved in the development of this game or anything. As for the game itself, it's sort of unlike anything else I've ever played, and not necessarily in a especially positive or negative way. I've just not really ever seen another game that has the gameplay style that this one has. It's pretty unique. The main way that this game works is very leaderboard based. So you pick a server and you load into that server, and as you get more deletions, you will level up your character more. So every level you usually unlock a new ability of some sort or a new weapon or something along those lines. You get to choose between 4 different options. It seems relatively randomized, although some things do seem to pop up earlier levels and some other things seem to pop up more in later levels. So it does change every run, but I think there are certain level requirements for certain upgrades to happen. As you go up in levels, you also enter different health brackets. So the way that health works in this game is that you have a shield that recharges and a health bar that does not. So as you go around, if you take damage, your shield will deplete and your health will deplete after the shield is depleted. The shield will recharge itself, but to get more health, you have to find a health pack. When you run out of both, that's when your character is deleted, and again, by deleted, I mean just eliminated, and you'll lose a life. When you lose all of your lives, you're reset back to level 1. As you play and level up, you'll enter new health brackets, but the thing with health brackets is when you enter a new one, your health is restored, but you have fewer lives overall. So in the first health bracket, you have 7, but then when you upgrade to the next one, you'll have fewer lives, but you'll get all those lives full again. Also, I'm not totally sure, but I think it may take longer to respawn the higher level you are, as a sort of balance thing, just like with having fewer lives the higher level you are. The main goal of the game is to get enough eliminations to level yourself up enough to have the highest level in the server and become the world boss of the server. The world boss, I'm not too sure how the gameplay works for that because I didn't actually get it myself. This is where one of the sort of odd gameplay elements of world boss comes into play. You've probably noticed by now in the gameplay that world boss doesn't appear to have any sort of timer or requirements to end a match, and that I think is because the only way to end a match is whenever a player becomes a world boss, it seems like they unlock a new objective to activate 3 corruptors. So the corruptors kind of changed the gameplay of World Boss a little bit into a sort of more like defusal style gameplay. The World Boss activates a corruptor, and all of the other players in the match get a notification to go defuse the corruptor. The other players can still attack each other, but they're sort of encouraged to work together to stop the World Boss from fully activating the corruptor. When a corruptor is activated, it'll block off a section of the map, and if you go back into a section of the map that's been corrupted, you'll take damage. So once the World Boss activates all 3 corruptors, the match will actually end. Otherwise, though, the game is pretty unique in that the matches don't really end if that doesn't happen. And furthermore, if you leave a match that hasn't ended, you don't really get penalized for it because that's sort of, I think, what the game is trying to encourage is drop in, drop out gameplay in an ongoing long match. And I actually like that concept quite a bit, but it's not really perfect because, for one, the matches can go on for way too long without any real conclusion. And also, sometimes it makes it hard if you join a match to really level up, because if you join a match that's been going on for a while and there's players that have been in there for a while already, you might be surrounded pretty quickly by a bunch of players who are already significantly higher level than you, so will have better weapons and more upgrades and stuff like that. So it can be a little bit hard to break that barrier of entry into the higher levels to actually compete against the world boss and the other top players in the server. Also, speaking of players and servers and stuff like that, that, I wanted to mention a little bit about just my connection experience, I guess, with the game. For one, the game does populate servers with bots, which I know some people might have a negative opinion of. Personally, I kind of like that because it means you can always play even if there aren't really that many other players online. And in particular for this game, I think it is important to have a server that has a lot of players, and so with bots, you're always going to have a server that can be full. The thing with World Boss is that you sort of need a nearly full server, or at least a handful of people playing, in order to have a leaderboard that you can climb up. If there's only 4 or 5 players, the whole gameplay concept here doesn't really work that well because there's not enough competition. It can be a little bit tough sometimes to tell which players are bots and which aren't, but I could definitely tell that there were bots in matches because when I would join a server sometimes it would say there were only about 3 people playing, but then there would clearly be more than 3 actual enemy characters. And the bots do seem to be pretty okay AI-wise. They're not really running into walls or anything like that. They're not overly easy enemies to defeat. So it balances out pretty well with the bots, I think. As for general server stuff, I noticed something kind of odd when I was trying to connect to the game, and I don't know if it was just a me thing or what, but I still wanted to mention it. So I'm back in the US from my year abroad at grad school in England, so I was trying to play on American servers, but every time I would try to play on the servers in the US, it was giving me a connection error, which was weird because it would normally load into the game, and I could see, because when you load into the game and you're picking your weapons, it kind of does like a sort of bird's eye view of the map and you can see other characters running around and stuff, and it appears to be the actual live match. It would be showing me that, so I was clearly connected somehow to the match, but then when I would try to pick my actual weapon and join the match, it was giving me a connection error. Eventually I thought back to when I had played the alpha or beta or some other pre-release form of this game, and I played that while I was in England and I didn't have any sort of connection errors, but that would have been European servers. So I decided to try European servers instead because even though they're not the closest to me, when I played the game previously, I was in Europe and I didn't have connection issues with European servers. So I did that, and sure enough, it worked totally fine when I connected to those servers, even though they're further away. The only thing that I can think of that would be causing my account to be able to connect to European servers and not American servers could possibly be the fact that my account, I think, still has the region set as the UK because I changed it to the UK when I was in England and haven't really had a need to change it back quite yet. So that could be why, but that would be really weird for a game to block you from certain servers depending on your region like that, especially if your ping is actually lower for a different server. I just don't really understand why that would happen, so I don't really think that's what it was. The only other last thing that I think I want to mention in this first 15 is just the art style. I do kind of like the art style of this game. It's cel-shaded. It is kind of very Fortnite-ish, which I don't really like to compare games' art styles to Fortnite that much because I think it's a little bit overused. I see a lot of comparisons to Fortnite when something's just cel-shaded, but the character shapes are sort of Fortnite styled. A lot of the bright color usage, the shapes of buildings, it does look quite a bit like Fortnite, and I think that's probably on purpose, but I don't really think it's a bad thing. I think the cel-shaded graphics work in this game's favor quite a bit because I actually had to record this gameplay in like 600 by 400 or something just to get the game to run smoothly while I was recording. Normally it plays at like 720p medium settings fine for me. It's a kind of oddly hard game to run, it seems like. That could just be my own hardware, but for a game that doesn't really have super intense graphics, it seems to run kind of slow for me, but that again is probably just a me thing. Anyway, the graphics look pretty good at a lot of different resolutions because cel-shaded graphics sort of always look good. The only thing that I do sort of wish a little bit is that stuff just had some more detail. I know that sometimes cel-shaded games don't have a ton of detail in them, but I do think that this game does genuinely kind of lack detail in a lot of the various art assets, so more detail would have been nice, but it doesn't look bad either way. Anyway, that was my 15 first impressions of World Boss. Again, this game is free to play. It's over on Steam, so it's one of those situations where if you want to check it out yourself, it's very easy to do so because it doesn't cost any money to do so. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in other stuff in the future, and here's the remainder of the about 15-ish minutes of gameplay that I recorded.
World boss incoming!